Hey everyone, welcome to the second Facebook Live for Fire Drill Podcast. I am very excited to be here. I got such a high off of last week's live episode that I definitely decided to keep doing it again. So, welcome to round two. This is very exciting. Forgive me if I'm a little off. I have been like super sick the last couple of days. I think I had the flu in August, but I'm not entirely sure. So, not really a big fan. Oh, thanks to say it was amazing. So that makes me feel good. Today's agenda, the contest is up first. The contest is closing in 1 week. I have, let's see, how many entries do we have? I think earlier today we said had over 850 entries, which is amazing. So thank you to all that have participated already. Waiting to see more people because that would just be even more amazing because we want more people to have a chance to win. So I would absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, we're almost at 1,000. We have 960. That's amazing. I love it. Wow. 960 entries from 131 people or 68. I'm not sure how to read those. Anyway, that's a lot. That's exciting. Because, okay, so this contest, back up. If you go to firedrillpodcast.com/contest, you will see a contest where you can sign up. We have 3 different prizes. We have a $50 Amazon gift card, which is exciting because that's basically the same thing as cash nowadays. So you can get $50 just for listening and saying thanks and signing up for all of our social media stuffs. And then I came better prepared this week. I have 3 books that we're giving away. I think I'm getting my head of myself here, and these are third place, but The Power Broke, Damon Dawn, excuse me. Super good book. I read this and it definitely lights a fire under your butt. This is the guy from Shark Tank, one of them. So this is an awesome book. And you could win it along with How to Think About Money, Jonathan Clements. I think it's a pretty good book. I've read a little bit of it, but not the whole thing. But I liked what I read so far. And then How to Steal the Corner Office, like a seminal book, super good. Also haven't read this one, but pretty excited that somebody else could read it because we're going to give it away. And then second place, I went out of order, is a Fire Drill Podcast t-shirt in your choosing of color and size. So, hey, yeah. Welcome, everybody. So those are the prizes that you can win. And you definitely need to get in there and tell your friends that they could win if they sign up for the contest and do all those entries. Yeah, you could win. Okay, so you could do the Dividends Don't Sell Drugs t-shirt, or you could do the Fire Drill Podcast t-shirt, just the plain one. So either or, it's up to you. We'll give you whichever one you want. If you do the Dividends Don't Sell Drugs one, I have to update the t-shirt itself because it's a little low. It's a little, makes people's eyes drift down a little further than I'd like. So that is the contest, and we're having this contest to celebrate our podcast reaching 500,000 downloads. And we're going to hit it soon, but I just wanted to accelerate that. So this contest is helping, and we hit it. We hit 500,000 downloads, and it's amazing. So thank you to everybody for listening to us and downloading and sharing and leaving reviews and all the things that we ask. You guys are amazing, and we love you bunches because we hit 500,000 downloads in the first year, which is like amazing. 5-second celebration. So excited. Okay. So let's see what else have we got. All right. So today's very special agenda, we have a guest coming on to speak with us. And I'm super excited because you know who he is, and he is really awesome and really smart. So, without further ado, let me see if I can get him on the show. This is fun. Hey, what's up?
Gwen, you're too kind. Thank you for having me.
Yay, I can kind of hear you. I think I might have to adjust my settings at some point because you are very quiet. So hold that thought for 2 seconds. Let me get my settings up here. This is Drew from Guy on Fire, and he is super smart at real estate. And we had him on one of our very first episodes. I don't remember if it was the first episode or um, one of the very first episodes, but you were definitely up in the first.
I think it's episode number 3.
I think so too. So, yeah, how's things going in the real estate business for you?
Things are going great. Uh, after our interview last year, I closed on my 4th rental property. So I'm now up to 4 properties and 7 units.
Woohoo! That's awesome. So what have you been doing with the last ones?
So the last property I closed on is a 3-unit property. So
Mhm.
it's 3 units all on top of each other, all 1 bedrooms. Had to do some minor renovations and deal with the city. A couple headaches there, but uh, starting in September, the property will be fully leased, so that will be a big win.
Yay! Money coming in. Make it all worth it.
That cash flow, though,
That cash flow dough. Ah, I love the cash. The cash is great. I haven't had much cash coming in because of real estate, but it's nice to have.
the Dingle House.
The Dingle House. Gosh darn Dingle House. Yeah, so I'm supposed to close on Thursday, right? So that's in 2 days from now. And my realtor texted me yesterday and said, "Oh, it looks like the buyer's asking for an extension.
Oh my, how long are they looking to extend for?
August 27th."
That's not too bad. 2 weeks.
Yeah, a week and a half ish, 11 days, something like that. So, I'm upset, but like also what am I gonna do? They literally don't have financing. Apparently the other realtor dropped the ball. So, that blows a lot. So hopefully we can get it fixed. But I'm going to Camp Fi Midwest the 23rd through the 27th.
Oh, so jealous.
So that's going to be really awesome, and I'm really excited about it because a whole bunch of really cool people are going to be here, and I get to hang out with them for a whole weekend on the St. Croix River. It's beautiful. But on the other hand, if they don't get their stuff in order before the 22nd, then I either have to like sign over my power of attorney and organize things from afar, or push it back on my end until after the 27th to close, which is really, really awful. Um, yeah, you're gonna be there too. This is great. Woohoo! We're gonna have people. I love people at campfires. It's so great.
Camp Fi is awesome. I went to the Mid Atlantic one back in, I think, April. It
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of fun.
10 out of 10 would recommend going to any event that you can meet up with FI people in person. For example, day before that, I met up with a friend who I met in Ecuador, and she and I walked around a little bit at the lake, and we just hung out for like half an hour before she quick headed to the airport to catch her flight back home. But then, as it turns out, her flight was super delayed, and she was going to miss her bus at the other end. So she pushed her flight back to the next morning and came and stayed with me for the entire night instead.
That's
So
awesome.
she didn't have to get a hotel room or significantly like super duper alter her plans because she knew me. She had this network that was established in Minneapolis. And so we could hang out and have dinner and she could stay here for free. And I took her to the airport the next morning.
You can't beat that. I was in Colorado couple weeks ago, and I was able to camp in a friend's backyard 2 nights to save on a hotel for a couple of days. And it's another Camp Fi FinCon type friend, and you can't beat the friendships in this community. It's something else.
I definitely agree. So if anybody has any real estate questions that they want to ask either Drew or myself, feel free to put them in the comment section and we'll see if we can answer them. If you're up for that, Drew.
Why not?
Some live Q&A.
Let the good times roll.
This is going to be good. All right. Seriously, though, people, ask questions if you want. But in the meantime, we can get started with some regular non-Q&A, non-real estate questions if you would like to join me on those, or you can just sit here and watch me until we get in a real estate one. Hello. All right. No problems. We're still live, still going on. Let's see here. I am pulling up the thread just to see.
What's going on, Dylan?
Dylan is joining us. Dylan is awesome. He is a mod for Choosify Group and crushing it, doing a lot of good work there. So Justin says, are you a fan of fully financing and paying off slow to invest extra capital or pay off quick?
Personally, I'm a fan of slowly paying off the mortgage. With the way interest rates are right now, one of my mortgages at 3.75%. Most people's mortgages in the last 4 or 5 years are in the 3s and 4s percent range, and we're starting to get closer to 5. But you have tenants paying down your mortgage, you're collecting cash flow, and you can take that money and either buy more real estate and get a higher return, or you can take that money and put it in, say, an index fund and get 8 to 10% a year. So if you're looking for an optimal decision, paying down the cash flow, or taking the cash flow and investing it elsewhere is a great option. Now, there are some people who are debt adverse, and some people have built great real estate empires without having loans. I know Rich on Money, I think he owns 24 rental properties, and he doesn't have a single loan on any of his properties.
Which is like, how? How did he do that? It's like incredible. I mean, I know how he did it because we had him on the podcast, but amazing. Amazing once you get those first couple of properties and they start throwing the cash out, and then you can just like save up for a little while, and then bam, like you just have a house in cash, like bam.
Yeah, not having a mortgage really helps with the cash flow also. So it's partially personal preference. I think someone would argue the optimal choice would be to reinvest the cash flow. You also get the tax benefits of the interest when you go to file your taxes on rental properties. So just some food for thought.
Justin, your dad thinks you're crazy because you are crazy, just so you know. We're friends, so I can tell him that. But he's part of this FI community, so I think that gives a little bit of craziness to anybody.
We all have to be a little crazy to do what we're doing.
So true. So Kevin asks, how tough is it to still find good deals these days now that the market is way up compared to a few years ago?
It's definitely more challenging. 4 years ago, it seemed like every other property was a bargain and you can make the numbers work. Now you're having to look at a lot more properties to find something that makes sense. Alternatively, you could look in different cities or look at properties that maybe need a lot of work, or look at a property and find a way to either add another unit or add an extra bedroom. That way, if you're looking at a 3-bedroom house, but there's a way to turn it into a 4-bedroom, maybe you're the only person looking at it as a 4-bedroom, and you can get extra rental income that way. But it is definitely more challenging. I mean, I think most markets across the U.S. have experienced great appreciation in property values over the last 5 years.
Totally true. Yeah, I think it's still possible, but again, you have to look harder, or maybe you need to start letter writing campaigns and look for people that aren't on the market but could be convinced to sell. That's a strategy that several of my friends have used. So that way you're not dealing with all cash offers and the craziness of like 10 people offering money at the same time. It's just you and the buyer or the seller, and you can think about it. Um, so, I mean, you could also go to different markets too, where there's lower cost of living. I know that lots of properties where the Dingle house is still fit that 1% rule. So, I mean, heck, my property almost fits 2%. So, it's definitely still possible to find good deals out there. You just have to look a lot harder and do your due diligence so you don't end up with a house like the Dingle house.
Yeah.
So Dylan says thoughts on buying real estate from afar. How to get over the anxiety of not being able near it. I'm in Jersey, and the property taxes, 7,000 on $200,000 home, make it hard to make local properties worth it. Totally true.
Definitely true. All my properties are within a short drive of where I am in the DC area. I do know there are some good resources out there. Scott Trench over at Bigger Pockets always
Mhm.
mentions a book that was written by one of the Bigger Pockets guys about buying out of state real estate. And that was the book that got him comfortable. Have not read it yet, but I've heard good things. As far as not being close to your property, you could look at investing possibly where you have family or friends, or do some serious homework and find a good property manager.
Yeah, having a good property manager is key because my property manager is not so great. I mean, they're not the worst. They do things for me, but it takes a while to get a hold of anybody, and I can't really get a hold of the property manager, like the owner of the company, which is super irritating because, we have things to discuss. So call me back. Anyway, this is totally not why I'm selling the house. It's why I'm selling the house. Don't tell anybody. So yeah, possible, but a lot of extra work because if something goes wrong, you are stuck however many hours away and you can't do anything. Like when your tenant calls and says, all the food in my fridge is bad because the power is shut off to that circuit and I don't know why. Fix it.
It's
It's
tough to
good
do that
times.
when you're 5 hours away.
Yep. Yep. Good times. Good times in real estate.
One piece of advice I had from a mentor: sometimes the best deal you ever did was the deal that you didn't do. And passing on a deal because it doesn't make sense or for logistical reasons is sometimes the best option.
Totally true. Um, I passed on two deals so far. I've made offers and I ended up backing out of the deal for whatever reason. The first one had a zoning issue, and so it was built as a duplex, but some lady had bought it for her and her adult daughter to live in side by side, and they had made a door in the basement, so technically it was a single family dwelling. And then the city said, "Hey, this hasn't been inspected since 1993. Do you want to get it inspected in case you want to, sell it and turn it into uh, somebody turned it into an investment property?" And she's like, "No, no, no, that's not necessary." So it reverted back to single family zoning, which meant that anybody that wanted to buy it for renting out was screwed, like me. So I decided not to buy the property at all. And then the second one needed a whole bunch of repairs that looked good on the outside, but the inside was bad. Like it needed two new bathrooms and a whole bunch of other things and a new furnace and some foundation repair and some sewer main repair or something. I don't know. It was a lot. So I was like, nope, not doing that. I'm out.
I
So,
don't blame you. The first house I almost bought, I ended up backing out of because the home inspection showed the entire attic was filled with mold and all the beams were rotted out and the roof needed to be replaced. And that would have set me
oh,
back like $30,000. Also, definitely feel your pain about the zoning issues. Rental property for um, sort of had a zoning issue, more so a lack of documentation with the DC government, and the DC government being very unorganized. They had no records of the property other than that it was built back in the 50s, and they just knew a building was built.
like, how? What?
Yeah, so they thought it was a single family home, and the current zoning laws uh, would suggest single family. So I had to go through the archives and dig up the 1950s zoning codes for that zoning type. And it turns out you could have a 3 or 4 unit building based off that zoning. And I had to put together about a 22 or 23 page memo for the city explaining how it's a 3 unit building and how it has always been a 3 unit building. Ultimately, I won, but it took a lot of time and energy to get there.
Yeah, I'm not about that life. I have better things to do with my time than fill out 22-page memos for the local government, so
You
I'm
mean you
out.
don't wake up and jump out of bed screaming, I love doing memos for the government?
Nope, sure don't. Can't say that I do. Justin, you might have to check the zoning for that property. He says he's looking uh, at a $50,000 house and 2 acres to build more units. It's literally his mom's next door neighbor. So she should keep him straight. Moms are good at that. But check out
And
zoning and make sure you can add more units to the property.
either see if you can add more units, or if you have 2 acres, see if you can subdivide the land into separate tax parcels. You may be able to also get some relief that way.
Yeah, that might help. Dylan, I didn't know you were in architecture. Um, Kevin Jones is also in architecture, so you guys should talk about architecture stuff. I don't know what that entails. Building stuff, whatever. So
Early 1800s, wow.
early 1800 row homes, which just sound like a disaster and a lot of brick.
And poor insulation and old plumbing and cloth electrical wires. Fun
Oh no,
times.
stop. Oh. Dylan says Justin is going to rent out rooms in his mom's house without letting her know. I think she'd figure that one out pretty quickly. Just a thought. Um, yeah, I had my own share of old stuff in houses with the Dingle house. It still has knob and tube wiring, most of which I'm pretty sure is not used anymore, isn't hot, but I can't say that for sure without ripping all of it out, and I'm not willing to do that. So knob and tube wiring is super fun. Um,
There is money to be had.
Justin said that there's money to be had. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Happy mom,
pay.
happy life.
I wouldn't pay to live in my mom's house, but I'd pay to live in somebody else's mom's house. That wouldn't
Especially
be
if
a
it comes
problem.
with cooking. Moms are the best.
Oh, and Justin's from the South too, so I bet his mom cooks really well.
Ooh.
Stereotyping up the yin yang right now, but still.
We're going to Justin's mom's house for dinner.
Yeah. Can Justin's mom get us dinner? That would be great. Okay, so ew, no, asbestos, stay away. Stop. Knob and tube needs not to come back either. All right.
Gwen, looks
Yeah,
like
what?
Sean has a question for you.
He does have a question for me. So Sean asks, what is your index fund allocation of choice? I think I'm in whatever the VTSAX equivalent is in Fidelity. It's like FINTX or something. I don't know. But it's basically at the lowest cost index fund that Fidelity offers in my former company's 401k plan. Get this, the ER is 0.01 per
You
year.
can't beat that.
I pay $2 a quarter to have that open, and it's awesome.
Although Fidelity
Um,
now has that index fund that has no fees.
that's true. That's true. I don't think that's in my 401k fund offerings, though. And that's where the vast majority of my invested money is. So it's going to stay in that investor share until they come up with that.
Don't think anyone's going to fault you for having a 0.01%
I know,
fee.
right? I mean, it's like so close.
Yeah.
It could be FSTVX. That sounds about right.
Yeah, I have
So
an old
I don't know.
401k with that fund, and it's done well.
Yeah, my 401k is going gangbusters. I think it earned $2,000 last month, and I didn't do anything. So I would like the market to keep going up, even though I realize that that is not anywhere near the what's actually going to happen. So
But you got to love that passive income and that compound interest. There's going to be short term hiccups along the way, and some hiccups bigger than the others. But if you look at any 20-year period, the market has always been higher than it was the previous 20 years.
it is so true. Yeah, I'm prepared for things to go up and down, um, but I'm not at the same time. Does that make sense?
Hey, I get what you mean. Most of us are called the millennial or under 40 crowd, maybe don't remember the last recession or haven't been through one where we've had assets invested. And, everyone says buy when it's low and don't sell when it's low. But it's painful watching your account go down hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And when that happens, it's just put the statements away and go outside, ride it
It's
out.
very, very, very painful. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, see, look, they think you're smart too.
Well, appreciate it, Sean.
Notice that he didn't say anything about me being smart, so we see how that goes. I see how that is. It's not very nice. Um, okay,
Yeah,
so
theoretically prepared, Liz.
yeah, theoretically, like mentally prepared, but like not mentally prepared. It's weird. I don't know if I can
We'll have to have
explain
a
it.
check-in call when the next recession hits.
That actually might be kind of interesting to be like, hey, how much are you down? Oh, 80,000. Oh, is that it? Psh, I'm down 100,000. Oh, yeah, well, I'm down 200,000. Like, I could see that playing off, just like competition to see who could be down the worst.
I can only imagine the blog headlines now.
I don't even want to
Lost
think about it.
lost $500,000 in a year.
The one investment that lost me $500,000 in 1 year.
Thanks, BTSAX.
Okay, you know what? That's true, Sean. You did email me, and I did appreciate that email. So I do feel a little better. Thank you. You're right. Yeah, what do you think
Uh,
about REITs, Andrew?
I like the REITs. It's a great passive, truly passive way to invest in real estate. Most REITs have to worry about their credit rating because REITs depend on the ability to borrow, and they are typically very modestly leveraged between 30 and 50%, and they are usually very institutional in nature, and they have expert management teams and uh, both on a property management standpoint and an asset management standpoint. So when they're buying and selling assets, they typically know what they're doing. And you don't have to deal with tenants calling you at 3 in the morning. You just get your dividend check every month or every quarter. So for someone who doesn't want to have direct ownership, where they're dealing with all the headaches, REITs are a great way to go.
That's true. And for those of you who might have joined lately, this is my friend Drew. I
Hey
don't know what she
everyone.
said. He blogs over at Guy on Fire and owns a handful of rental properties, and he's like my real estate buddy. He's he's what I wish I could do while I was in real estate.
Hey, your first investment's never the best. We'll get you there.
Sometime in the future, once I forget about it, just a little bit. All right. So I'm going to, if anybody has any more questions for Drew, ask now or forever hold your peace. I mean, forever being until the next time I have him on to shoot the breeze with me and talk about real estate. If not, if nobody else has any other questions, I will either let you go and have your night back, or you can hang around and answer some other questions with me if you'd like. Oh, the raw. Okay, so let's see here. Um, Kevin asked, "What about that raw land investing that you featured on your podcast a few months ago? Seems too good to be true." You're talking about Mark Podolsky, the Raw Land Geek or the Land Geek guy. Um, it's not too good to be true, but it is a heck of a lot more involved than he made it sound on the podcast.
It,
We did some research, and basically it's not as easy as going to the neighbors and being like, "Hey, would you like to buy this property?" And they say, "Of course, we happen to have $10,000 lying around. We'd love to buy our neighbor's property." You have to send out a heck of a lot of mailers, which involves buying lists from people, and then you actually have to like fill out the postcards or letters or whatever, however you send it, or you pay people to do that, and then um, some other random steps. I mean, you have to comb through the tax list. So basically, it's very time and resource intensive until yeah, no, it's basically the entire thing is time and resource intensive. But again, you don't have to deal with tenants. So maybe instead, if you like to listen to people talk about how they can't buy the property, I don't know. What do you think, Drew?
I mean, some people do very well with land, but just like rental properties or investing in anything, you need to know um, all that's involved with it. And I've known some land investors who have done development with the land that have done very well. I personally don't have a ton of experience in land, so I wouldn't be the best to give advice on that.
Yeah. So, um, do lots of research before you jump in is my advice. His works out really well because he has a whole system and a team in place in like Thailand or the Philippines or somewhere where he pays them a little bit of money to do all of the grunt work for him. So unless you'd like to buy into his systems, then it's going to take you a lot more effort and time to get into that than he originally made it seem. Because we were super excited, and then it's like, oh, never mind, just kidding. We're not going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to get into the questions from the weekly Q&A thread. So Aloha Jim asks if anyone has prior experience with Teespring or Shopify and Printify. His wife is looking to get into selling apparel. So I sold one T-shirt on Teespring, and I've also bought one T-shirt on Teespring, and the experience went pretty well. The shirt came out really high quality for the one that I produced. It was for my Fiery Millennials run that I did. Um, it you literally only have to sell one T-shirt to have it produced now. They lowered the minimums a ton, so the barrier to entry is super low. Um, so I would recommend getting started on Teespring. It literally costs you nothing to get started. So if you've done your research or have a couple of ideas, then throw them up there and see what you get. That's my advice for that. Shopify, when I looked into doing that, seemed like a lot more work than I was willing to do. There's a number of companies that hook up with Shopify. Gooten is the one I can think of off the top of my head. Gooten. Um, but again, that's more moving parts than maybe you want to look into. But I don't know. You'd have to do your research and what's about your level. I haven't gotten into merch by Amazon, although I have friends that have, and they seem pretty satisfied with the process. So I'm not I'm not sure about that. So thank you for asking though. Let me see here. Do you get any plans to sell merch by Amazon?
Not currently. Typically am a buyer of things. I don't sell much.
Okay, so here's a question that's really interesting. So Mel asks, have you grown apart with local non-fi friends, or have you found ways to continue to connect with those real live local friends in a way that one doesn't counteract with your fi goals, and two allows you to feel connected on different subjects other than finances? So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. Some friends are definitely less frugal and spend much more than I do. but it's not a reason to throw away a good friendship. Everyone
It's true.
has different preferences. Um, so I typically look at what are some of the pillars of that relationship. What are commonalities do we have? So it's I still go fishing with my fishing buddy. I still go bike riding with friends, and money may or may not come up, but it's not a reason to still, or not a reason to not hang out with them. So I'd encourage you to still hold on to those friendships. And if they bring up money, very casually share how you've done something, but don't throw the uh, all the FI stuff at them, and let them get used to it over time, and enjoy their company and enjoy the activities that you find enjoyable with those people. So
Yeah,
go.
I found there's three ways to react. So one, you keep going on exactly as you have, and you just kind of don't talk to them about FI at all. Two, you start to kind of ease into the conversation a little bit and convert them over time. And like, gradually change. So you're not going out to the bars all the time. You're hanging out at home drinking and watching Disney movies or whatever. And then three, the alternative is to completely stop talking to them. And I have friendships that fit into all three of those categories. So I have friends that I'm like, it's not worth the time to convert them. If they want to talk money, they know where to find me. The second people are like, oh yeah, I need some help with my finances. Hit me up. And then I've slowly started to like get them. And I know I'm succeeding when I get text messages that says, I got a raise today, and instead of spending it, I put it in my 401k. I hate you. It's like, yes,
But
yes.
future them will thank you.
Yes, right? Like, I know that you're upset right now with me, but this will be good for you later. Um, right? So, let's see here.
Oh, we got
So,
Airman Milldollar joining. What's up, Airman?
woohoo. So Dylan says he suggests converting them to FI by taking their stuff and selling it right in front of the what? Right in front of them? I don't
Right
know.
in front of them, I think.
I prefer it as, like right in front of crying babies. Oh, okay, it was them. Just fill in the blank with whatever, like in front of dinosaurs.
The fire drill Mad Libs.
Yeah. That should totally be a section that we do from now on.
We're gonna make that and sell that on Amazon merch also.
Yes, that's what I can sell on Etsy. I can do FI Mad Libs.
Oh, this is gonna be epic.
Genius, right there. You heard it here first. FI Mad Libs, it's a thing. Okay, so you're very welcome. Print on demand Mad Libs. I love it. So Megan says, any tips on negotiating salary during a promotion? I'm under the impression it's not typically done in my company, so I'm wondering how it perceived if I try. So it seems like you are a woman, judging from the name Megan and your profile picture. So I'm just going to tell you that women probably have it harder to get emotion anyway, just because some people hold it against them and think that they're bossy or pushy by asking for a raise, where men are actually rewarded for asking for raises. So that's not good. But I would look on Glassdoor and see if there are any reviews left by people in similar spots to see what the average is. I mean, you could try asking people too, but some people get a little weirded out when you ask about money. So yeah, I don't know why, but um, you I would say it doesn't really hurt to try, but it might actually hurt to try. So just test the waters and see if you can find like a mentor in the company who can tell you if it's a good idea or not. My last job, when I was looking to jump, they told me not to. I had a mentor that told me not to push for more money in the promotion because the company was going through a tough time and it wouldn't look favorably upon me. So I didn't. And I don't regret that I didn't either because they took care of me and they gave me a bunch of money anyway. So
Yeah, with that, uh, if you approach it as I want to be paid more because I want more money, they may be turned off. Try to uh, explain to them and quantify it, and both explain it quantitatively and qualitatively. You were able to increase sales this much, or you've picked up extra assignments with a different department, and show that you provided value, as opposed to saying, hey, I just want more money. I mean, I think all
Gimme,
of us
gimme, gimme,
would,
gimme, gimme.
yeah, no one's ever said no to a raise without any conditions attached to it. I mean, I would also recommend, Gwen mentioned Glassdoor. I'm a big fan of personally interviewing outside of your company once a year just to get an understanding of your value in the marketplace. And that can usually be a good barometer of what you're able to earn. And you can potentially use that as leverage to get a raise or move on to another better paying job.
Yeah, and let's see here. Liz says make an objective, use Glassdoor as a benchmark, and then go through your job description and say the market is currently supporting this average. What is it you think that I'm not doing? And then you can come up with a plan. If they say this is what you're not doing, then you can come up with your plan with your manager to put those in action and get that raise and responsibility.
Yeah, that's great advice, Liz and Gwen.
I like it. Good job. Yeah. So
Great point, Dylan.
Dylan says never ever ask for a promotion raise by mentioning your personal costs. Had an employee try that tactic way too often. Focus on stats and quantifying what you've done for the company, which is totally true. Make it all about them and not about you. Like you could be asking for somebody else for all you care, right? Um, so let's see. Next question. All right, Drew, I want to hear this one from you. What is the craziest, strangest thing you've done to save money? What is the craziest thing you've done, Drew?
Well, I would have to say living in a 52 square foot room in my house hack, that might be considered crazy or strange, but it's been a fun and lucrative experience.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, he house hacks. So he bought the place, he lives in it, but it's like a tiny little closet that you live in. But he's managed to stick like a bunk bed and and a
Yeah,
desk and some other stuff in there.
yeah, I have a loft bed, so my bed is up top, and I actually have my office underneath, and there is really just enough room for a dresser, and I actually have a dresser stacked on top of that, so it's a double decker dresser. And then I have my closet with two hanging bars. That way I kind of doubled up the space there. It is definitely a minimalist space, and I'm sort of growing out of it. And, at some point, I probably need a little more space. A tiny house might be good.
Yeah, I mean, you need like quadruple your living space in a tiny house, which I never thought I'd say to anybody, but it's true for you. Airman Mill Dollar says, gotta go running. We'll catch up later. And then she told me, Gwen, while gone, convinced Drew to go to Disney World.
Are we talking about FinCon?
Yes, after FinCon, we're going to Disney World, and you should totally go. She's got the hookup for super cheap tickets.
Oh, well, that's the first I've heard on that one. I'll be sending her a message later. Uh,
$250 for like a 4-day all park pass
Wait, so are you saying like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday after kind of
after.
thing?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, I wonder if I can change my flight. This is interesting.
You should totally do it. And we're staying on property in like this cool suite thing. So if you were there, we'd have to like upgrade even more, which would be awesome.
We're definitely going to talk offline. This sounds
Okay,
great.
perfect. Yes. You're welcome, Airman Milldollar. So let's see here. Miriam says, what is the most creative money saving strategy you've come across? I'm going to say either somebody else's or something you've done besides the house hacking. You already used that answer.
Living in a 52 square foot room.
You already used that answer.
So creative way to save money.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Creative outside the box. I mean, I used to bike to work. That was fun. I don't know how creative that is. Uh, Bringing your lunch as opposed to buying lunch is good. Um, you know, uh, I had a side hustle where I delivered moon bounces. That's a little outside the box. Most people probably haven't done that. Um, I don't know. What have you seen, Gwen?
I really like using your car on Turo.
I keep hearing about this. Have you done that?
I mean, my car is a 2005 Pontiac Vibe, so I doubt that people are going to be wanting to rent it out on Turo. It'd probably go for like $5 a day.
You just got to mark it as the vintage Pontiac.
They don't even make these anymore.
Has immense character.
It's got something, all right. Um, but no, I've seen people like buy new cars and then put them on Turo, and then they use them on the days when they don't have to drive, or they put them on Turo the days that they don't need the car. And so then somebody's paying for like your new car, which is like car hacking.
It's not a bad way to approach it.
I mean, of course, people probably don't take as good a care as your new car as you would, so you have to deal with a little bit of that, but I think it sounds pretty intriguing.
That is a great hack.
So I'm going to go with that one. That's my answer, Miriam. Okay, well, we've reached the time in the episode where we are going to sign off. I think we're all done answering questions for tonight. So, Drew, thank you so much for joining me. Talking with somebody is a lot more fun than just talking by myself for 48 minutes.
Well, happy to help and happy to be here and good chatting with you.
Yep, and we'll definitely connect offline about that whole Disney thing.
Sounds good.
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I am looking forward to continuing doing these. So this is going to be every Tuesday night at 7:30 Central Time on Tuesdays. So join me. We're going to have this going until whenever FinCon is, the September, let's see here, through September 18th. They'll be on Tuesdays, and then the 24th, it'll be on a Monday because I have to leave for FinCon. I'll be in the air on Tuesday, so it'll be Monday that time, and I've got a very special guest for that. So I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I will catch you later. Have a wonderful night, everybody.